Evening and welcome to the Shadows of New Orleans. Tonight we're joining a diverse group as they have come following whispers and rumors that somewhere in the bayou there is a fountain or a spring that seems to prolong life, possibly even restore youth. Their search tracing these rumors has led them to the Historic Voodoo Museum, specifically to their apothecary shop. Attached to it, ran by Mr. Adewale Laval. So as you guys would intermingle however you wish to join the shop. Adewale would be behind the counter. The gentleman with the bowler hat there. In the shop, some of his other herbs as well as the gentleman in the suit drive.
I guess Bunty will arrive first. And she will come in. She'll look through the herbs and such. Those who are in the shop, as she approaches anywhere near them, they will smell this almost sweet, tantalizing smell, scent, as it were, from her. One that almost almost draws you wanting to be closer to her. And she will take some time looking through the herbs. Never knows when she might run out or be low on something. And that's what she'll do for the moment.
All right. He's got a fairly wide variety of herbs, local and imported, so you'll have plenty to.
Yes, Dr. Lands, accompanied by the full smell of cigarette smoke from all the high combined, wandering around, looking at what there is and everything. City coming in.
And he would recognize Adewale. He met him at the Singing Tree.
I'll kind of give him like a wave.
And he gives a nod, but doesn't really bother you. Kind of lets you do your thing unless you have questions.
Right, I suppose Avalon will come in and start checking out the shop, as it were, seeing if there's anything interesting that she may not have in hers, being as this is technically a competitor's store here.
His shop is definitely geared towards the theme of the historic museum as well. It's a lot of herbs and stuff related to voodoo practices. He has texts on the various differences of voodoo and hoodoo and cultural differences, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
there are mixed in some Christian elements, which is common among some of the practices, but majority of it is herbs, minerals, things like alligator teeth. You know,
Random, yeah, okay. Things for like voodoo charms, etc.
correct.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Jackson will show up. He'll, kind of come and look around. He's not quite sure what he's doing here, but well, he's here. Fates must have some special plan for him today, so yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, not his typical hangout, but it's seems to have drawn an interesting crowd. Fairly busy tonight. The man in the suit goes over and is talking quietly with the guys. Wait.
After selecting some herbs that she feels that she might be low on and whatnot, she'll go up to the counter where the gentlemen are.
The guy in the suit will move to the side, kind of letting you. Obviously,
And she will greet him in Haitian.
okay.
If he doesn't seem to respond, she will say hello in English.
He does respond to the greeting, but then he kind of makes a gesture with his hands, and in English he'll say, "I apologize. I know very little."
It is all right. Many around here do not speak it, though many of us are here. I have heard rumors from around here about finding something recently. Have you heard of these rumors? A fountain, as it were.
Have a perception empathy from every person in the shop.
So say Avalon's attention is perked at mention of this fountain from her here. But you said perception, empathy?
Yep.
Shit.
Good thing I put those 2 extra points into perception before the session started.
Well, he only
So if I
has
have-
perception.
You said perception, empathy?
Correct. Bunty has two successes.
I got
Oh,
one.
oh.
That's a higher diff,
Ugh.
isn't it? Because I don't have empathy, or can I not do it?
Empathy is
is
normal.
talent. You can use it normally.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
His rolls
Don't
for it.
have dice for it. That's all.
Gotcha.
Those ones, though.
Nothing.
I have one.
I have one as well.
Of course, I have nothing.
I'm not even in my own dice room, and I'm running the thing. That would help.
Dice are crutch.
Just make it up.
Yeah. Format. So, Miles teleports behind, it says nothing personal, kiddo. We're free forming that.
Mm-hmm. We decided dice were unnecessary.
All right. So every Holly would notice that the gentleman in the suit kind of perks up a little bit. Not visibly necessarily, but you can tell, real subtle body language that he's paying attention.
Okay.
What it does with successes yet?
They noticed that he was paying attention. I said everybody.
Oh, I missed that part.
Sorry about that.
Except for me.
She was too busy paying attention herself.
I'm too busy, checking out herbs and other hoodoo, whatchamacallits, apparently.
But the Adewale looks at you and says, "Hey, I've heard those rumors. It's a strange thing. Sure would be something though. Might put part of my market out of business if it's true, but yeah,
Death will always come. It cannot be staved off forever.
it's that would indeed be the truth. Although some wish to try and write their own truth instead.
And I wish them well. Do you know
Yes.
where these rumors say this lake or pond or whatever it is out there is about that?
He says, "Yeah, I've heard a couple different arguments, but one that seems to stick with me is that it's excuse me, in the one of the local." And he kind of gestures for a minute. He says, "The parks, wilderness is where." He said, "Hang on, I believe I have some notes." It was, and he would go under the counter, pulls out like a legitimate like leather-bound book and starts going through it. And he says, "Yes, yes, here we are. The wildlife management, they call it. Particular one here that's referenced is the Salvador. Yeah. Don't know a whole lot about that region, but we do have some local maps.
I would take one of these maps then as well. Then
You know, it's south of town there, off of between well, off of. Or imagine that. And he'll come up with a hand over a map as well.
thank you, brother. And she will pay for what she has purchased.
And he gives you know, as he turns it over, he says, "It'd be interesting to know if you come up with it. Such such legends must come from somewhere."
I'm on. And she will take her stuff and start heading out.
Uh, would Avalon be at the area she's overheard him talking about?
Yes, it's one of the larger wildlife areas, although it's not the one that you're most.
Right. She's going to casually just look over things as she makes her way out the door to follow the lady that had been discussing this fountain.
Jackson's totally not gonna check her out as she walks by him to the door.
The gentleman in the suit follows you guys out as well.
Yeah, this would be about the time that Noah would show up. Just start to go into the door.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. She steps out of the way to let this dude in.
Thank you. Just curious, see, who would I recognize from the first meeting over by the tree?
The good doctor and then Adewale, who's running the shop.
I'll give a wave to him.
Okay, I'll say hello to the doctor and walk over to the guy running the shop.
All right.
Okay. You're the one that's missing from what I was thinking. I was sitting by that tree for a long time. No other groups appeared, but you weren't there. So, where are you sending everybody?
Send anybody anywhere that is a place that is open to people. They choose to or not. Others weren't following up on my that is not up to me. I seek to place them on a path, not force them down it.
So, how many other groups of special people are you, or have you gathered around here?
Happened chance meeting that night. I've had a couple other individuals here and there if I stop by, but it's been rare. Matters on my plate as well.
Is there any special nights or reasons why it happens in odd places, or do people just naturally gather around you?
I'm not sure it was me so much as the location. I just happened to be there as well. Some places that draw people to. In fact, that tree might be one of them. Whether it does so all the time or not is another matter.
Well, everything is connected.
That is very true. Meanwhile, those of you who have stepped out the door, the man in the steps over to you and he says, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation regarding this search for this fountain.
You're not the only one who overhears things.
And she will turn, smiling at these individuals who've followed her. Aye, they talk of a fountain out in the forest somewhere. Very old fountain. Could be religious significance or something.
I am
He's
quite
good for
familiar
his
with
story.
the bayou.
She's gonna look Avalon over, seeing how she's dressed and whatnot.
Presently, she is just dressed in a simple pair of jeans and a tank top and sandals.
But she doesn't look all
But,
fancy like Mr. Suitman.
Dressed all fancy or nothing, but you do, there would be some, she's got like rune type symbols tattooed on the insides of her arms.
Bayou is a strange place. Full of mysteries.
That indeed. Like I said, I'm pretty familiar with the bayous and such, but definitely curious about this fountain as I've heard rumors as well.
Have you now? What rumors have you heard?
Let's see. Sorry, I have to look at the rumors board because off the top of my head, Holly is special, but it's whatever is said in there. Well, I've heard that the fountain is there somewhere in the bayou. I believe to have similar qualities of the Fountain of Youth.
A blessing as much of a curse.
Avalon will nod.
The man in the suit holds out his hand and he says, "My name is Jake, and such history that is important to this city. I aid in its recovery and preservation."
She'll extend her hand out to him, but it's palm down, so that the top of her hand's facing him.
He takes it very formally and kisses the back of her hand.
Oh, I apologize. I'm Avalon, by the way.
Banti. I would give you my full name, but I do not think that you would be able to pronounce it. I think they say it is quite a mouthful.
That's fair.
Does this mean you are going to be following me out there, or are you wanting me to give you information when I find it?
Well, I am
I wouldn't
off.
mind going and assisting.
I can finance and furnish such a venture as well. I have a boat available, first and foremost.
A boat for the bayou
Let me-
makes
Oh,
travel
well.
much simpler.
Parts of it do tend to be watery. Would be very handy.
If you wish to fund this, then I will gladly use your boat, Mr. Jakeman.
I've got it over in the in Lake Salvatore already, docked up. So, if you wish to meet me at the docks, I can give you an address. I also can provide transportation to get there if that's easier for you.
I will gladly take transportation. It will save me time and energy.
Indeed.
Jackson just kind of pops his head out. He's just kind of like listening. And he says, and he like looks at him and says, "Well, if you're going, would you mind if I come with? You look like you get into some interesting scraps, and well, I need to get involved in something restless, you know." And he winks at her.
Who is he winking at?
So I was just about to ask, there's two hers here. Like, who's he winking
Oh,
at?
I said, sorry, I must have like lagged at Avalon.
She kind of raises an eyebrow at him. And what skills do you possess that would help us on this?
I can drive
I'm
a boat.
familiar with the bayou. You can drive a boat?
Nods.
Hmm. Interesting.
That seems almost a little too convenient. But who are we to look the horse of gifting in the mouth?
He just kind of grins. He's very cheerful, this dude. Like, he's gripping.
It's okay. I'll walk out to him and say, mind guys mind if I come along too? I've been hearing rumors about this as well.
Why not? We will make it a big old party boat then.
We're all gonna go look for the fountain. All right.
Very well, Mr. Jackman. Let us be
Jack?
off to your boat.
Check.
Sorry, I was gonna say something, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah. Heads over to a fairly large SUV, like a suburban type. 3 rows of seating. Any gestures? And he says, anyone riding with me, feel free, otherwise I will gladly provide an address. You can meet me there if you would prefer.
Avalon will take a ride.
Bunty gets into the back seat.
Miles will take his own car.
Okay.
Formaldehyde.
Noah would come up and ask, would you mind another?
He just kind of gestures to the back seat and he says, can't hurt.
I get it. Oh yeah, I'm Noah, by the way. Just start shaking hands.
Bunty.
Avalon.
Just waves. I'm Jackson. It's nice to meet all of you.
I'm Dr. Bjornson.
Kind of looks over at Dr. Tiger, kind of looks at him now and says, I'm sure you are, and then winks at him.
He's kind of nods, looks confused, and saying, "Yeah, I am."
All right. He fairly quickly was able to get over to the docks. Not a long drive, and then there's a good size boat set up there to get into the bayou. You can tell it's obviously been in there before, the way it's equipped and stuff. He'll head onto the boat first.
Avalon follow.
Bunty's definitely following.
Yep, Jackson's gonna follow.
Yeah, Noah get in and sit right up in the front.
All right. Yeah. He's able to. He takes the boat over to the edge of the bayou, and he asks if he may see the map. Trying to get into a close region at least.
Avalon's gonna kind of look over at the map too.
He will show the map.
once he's got the kind of sees roughly the area, he'll get basically as close as he can. He turns the map back over, hands it back to you.
She puts it in her bag.
Yeah. He gestures to a trail and he says, "Wish me to accompany you, I can. Otherwise, I will remain here and ensure that the boat stays."
Stay with the boat. I have plenty of bodies going with me, man. And she will hop off and head over to the trail and
Well, out in the trail as well.
All right. And if you guys, anyone who's looking at the map, can get a intelligence or wits, I guess I'd accept either one. And
survival.
yes, there you go.
Wit survival.
Yes.
Because Avalon would totally be trying to map shit, and like you said, right.
Bunty has 3 successes.
And my survival is 2, so.
And if she wants to,
standard
Yes.
4.
All right.
can she also take a moment and activate Prime Sight? Because if this is a magical fountain, she's hoping to be able to see it if it's off the path easier.
All right.
Yes. Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna spend a willpower. Yeah, I spent a willpower. It gives me 1 success, so I'm gonna have to continue casting. Wow, it is not wanting me to succeed. I haven't failed yet. I'm gonna spend another willpower. I haven't botched yet, I should say. Okay, I have 1 into effect and then 2 into duration, so it'll last the rest of the scene unless I drop it early.
Okay.
And Prime Sight will show me that these people all have some sort of supernatural something about them, won't it? Yes, no?
Let me grab my reference charts. Yes, it just won't tell you what.
She kind of looks around at everybody for a moment. Like she's got an oh kind of look in her eyes. Almost like a knowing, like she knows something.
She knows a little something, something.
And she will start following the map directions that her and Avalon were coming up with.
This is
I
this is
should
like
warn
a really
everyone.
marshy area, right, John?
Yes.
Okay.
Should watch for gators and snakes.
Yeah, Doc's going to kind of like focus for a minute, like he would if he was getting ready to head into a corpse at his job, and he's going to try and pull up life sight.
All right.
Got one, so I'm going to increase casting. Got another one. I'm going to spend a little power on this last one. Oh, cool. Got 4 successes on the last one. Alright, so I'm going to just put one into effect and the rest in duration.
All right.
Array life sight for like a month or so, I think, or 6 months, whatever 5 successes is.
Yeah, so I'm watching for gators and snakes and stuff as we move.
Same.
And to make sure that I don't find a part of the trail that looks like trail and it's not.
Right.
Need to go ploop into the bayou.
And it's a fairly decent walk, but with your navigating and additionally with your looking out skills, you're able to get fairly deep into the swamp, and to a place that, according to your map, says you're in the right place.
The map says we're in the right place.
Bantu's looking around for signs of mystical energies.
Avalon's just kind of looking around for anything that seems like off, like not swampish. Maybe a spring or something that just seems the rest of the bayou.
If you guys want to roll me a perception, go with perception awareness.
Standard.
Yes.
If attentive counts, I have 5.
Okay.
Jackson's just gonna sniff the air, and can I use a primal urge? If I have it, I don't actually. Are you
Yes,
kidding me?
instead of awareness.
Fuck my life.
Yeah, I got one.
I got 3 successes.
That awkward moment when you forget to buy primal urge on your werewolf.
Oh
Hey, I have 2 successes though.
Nice.
no! Vampire. The vampire.
I got 3.
All right. You guys all would notice as this thing rises up out of the swamp.
The fuck is that?
And Tiger, with life sight up, you would see that only parts of this thing are actually alive.
Neat.
None of y'all would have happened to have brought a shotgun or anything with you, did you?
Nope.
I shouldn't see the vampire as not alert.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick check. Let's see. Find out
Imagine so,
the
but
what will probably happen if we actually completely leave it alone. Right.
Is it looking menacingly? Does it look like
And that
it's
gives me one
guarding?
success. So if we leave it alone, will it be attacking?
It seems to be more defensive than aggressive.
Okay. I'll just tell everybody, leave it alone. It'll just leave it alone. Don't go near it, and it'll stay right where it is.
I want to try to figure out what this thing is. No.
Banti's gonna talk to it.
Okay.
Greetings, guardian of the Fountain of Youth.
And
We've
it,
not come to disturb you.
it kind of swings its head back and forth, shakes its head a little bit.
You are not the guardian.
Doesn't seem to be like disagreeing, more of just like it's trying to focus on your words. Um, its eyes kind of glow a little bit as when it looks at you.
Death was taken from you a long time ago. I am
Revealed.
here to release you. Your curse is at an end.
You kind of hear a scraping as the fangs rub against one another as it opens its mouth. And it's kind of a strange voice comes forth, echoey and hollow. It says, "You mistake me. This is but a manifestation, a vessel, discarded bone, greenery to give myself form. Do not guard your fountain of youth, although I do." Kind of, and he turns and paces again. He says, "Keep watch."
So the fountain is real then.
It does exist, but not here. Not in this swamp, anyway. This is a different type of spring. And he kind of steps back and shakes his head a little bit so you can see kind of more beyond him. And give me a perception awareness as he does.
Okay. Everybody.
Yes.
I have a fail.
2.
2 successes and 3 ones.
Well, what are we rolling? I'm sorry.
Perception awareness / prior knowledge.
Okay.
Ooh, I got 3 successes.
Three successes here as well.
Right. As he steps back, you do sense something abnormal coming from this. I shouldn't say abnormal, but something more than natural coming from this kind of small stone plateau behind him with the stone arch on it.
You keep watch. Do you have words of warning or wisdom about these?
Says every gate must have a gatekeeper.
And what told you ask, gatekeeper?
He kind of looks and he says, not a matter of toll, but of whether one is appropriate to enter, whether they correct things and ask the correct questions.
What lies beyond this gate then?
He kind of sweeps its head along the ground a little bit and says, for those who do not belong there, madness or death. But for those who come equipped, it is a small place, but a place of wonder, peace, and also a touch of power. I understand why people mistake it for a fountain of youth. One can go through this gate, a child, and return from it 10 years later, looking just as much a child as when they went in. A place of spirits and dreams. It is a land where rules are suspended.
And what makes one judged worthy and able to enter?
The ability to see beyond it is beneficial to see beyond the world we are in. See a world that is more than what we live in. Pierce the dream to see another side. The strength of will to see that will continue every day is also beneficial.
She just nods and takes a step back.
Then he looks at her and kind of give a nod of respect as well. Even on this side of the gate, some power bleeds through. There are those who have expressed interest in that as well, but to touch the power of also to claim some responsibility. If one is to claim, one must also protect, nourish.
Nourish life unto death, and let that death then bring about new life.
He nods and he says, in death do things pass beyond, in birth do they return.
I will offer my aid in protecting this place, though I am not ready to cross over.
He kind of turns and looks into the gate, rears up and slams. What you can see are actually hands front, down onto the altar itself, and it kind of trembles and little pieces crack off. Not anything that's going to really damage it, but it crumbles below, and it's and he just kind of looks into the gate, and he says, "See carefully what it is you find yourself."
She will go closer and look at what it is she's agreeing to.
On the other side of through the ring, you can see the other side, and it's despite the fact that it's somewhat overcast and stuff where you are, it's crystal clear. You can see moonlight and sort of a glade. Even though it's still a swamp, it's more greener and vibrant than the one that you're in now. Little kind of motes of call fairy fire kind of flicker around on that side. And there's a sort of like a silken canopy over one side where it's obviously people have camped, so to speak. As you're watching, other things move past. They seem to be animals, but they're not animals as you know them. They're animals from mythology. You see actual salamanders glowing with fire. Um, some of the lights that float around wink out and in like will-o-wisps, that sort of thing. And he gestures and he says, "This gate is an oddity, a hole in the veil, as it were, allowing one to pierce through to the other side, to see on the other side. Although re-entry is not quite as easy, it is still simple and open enough that I guard both sides of this gate. For sometimes what is over there doesn't belong here."
Then yes, I agree to help guard this place, protecting the cycles as they should be. Creatures of the great pasts will not be forgotten, but now is not their time. Here is not their time or place.
And with your prime sight up, you would notice too, looking through it, that there's not a lot, but a little bit of quintessence kind of leaks through the gate. That it's essentially a node. Well,
Oh yeah, she's gonna keep that in mind, but not say anything because she doesn't know what these other people are.
right.
She's made her pledge to him.
He nods and then kind of backs up and looks at everyone else.
The wrong person gained this information and came here. This could be a whole lot of trouble.
He nods his head and kind of looks around a little bit, and out of the bayou, other things not like him, but not identical. Other creatures, as it were, constructs of swamp and bone, rise up and says, "I am not without help, but it is true."
How far out do these things go? That I can see, like, around this place in the bayou and swamp.
Most of them are like 10 or 15 feet out from the edge of the little kind of grove you're in here. And there's 7, 8 of them total.
Is this
None as big as him. And he kind of prompts and he says, "That is all of me that exists on this side."
Well, I might be able to do something to help from this side where you aren't reaching, if you'll allow it, to assist in keeping those who are unwanted out.
He looks slightly unsure, but he says, "I know not exactly what you are, but assistance is always a plus. These pieces of me, they're great for a show of force for a single threat or enemy.
I can ask the plant life around you to assist you, if you'll have it.
Yeah, nods his head again.
Very well. Let's see. So I'm gonna spend two blood points
Okay.
to activate, consecrate the grove here. And I'm going to turn my back on everybody here and walk out a little ways. And bite my wrist and whirl and around here
Okay.
a little ways in the plant area that I want to awaken here. So if I succeed on this roll, it should awaken plant life in a 20-foot diameter. Charisma survival at 6. I'm gonna need successes. Uh,
All right. So obviously the ones that are already awake as part of these creatures are not affected, but the rest of them kind of twist and writhe a little more actively.
she just kind of casually turns around and returns herself to the group.
All right.
Yeah, are there any vines on the ground around here?
Not, how thick do you need? I guess it would depend because there's kind of like some like ground cover creeper type things.
That'll work. I just need something like it's like I don't know, 4 or 5 feet long.
The other creatures kind of sink back down into the marshiness, and he nods again to you. rest of the group.
Jackson is he's not really like relaxed, but he's kind of just staying back with his arms crossed, kind of just watching everyone bustle around and do everything.
Yeah, I just want to see what would happen if I. Let's see, the entropy time effect again, just to see what would happen if I actually threw the vine through there and pulled it back out.
All right.
Yeah, if I can get the dice roller to work properly.
So you're actually going to pass that through the gate? Am I understanding that correct?
I'm not actually going to throw it. I just want to see what would happen if I throw it.
Right. So like
Through
you'll
there and then draw it up.
stick the end of it through it or whatever.
Yeah. And that was not a good roll. Fail. Thankfully.
Sure, you had a 7 in there, so you got your
Yeah. Just a fail.
botch.
Yeah. That could have been interesting.
Right. And that was on your attempt to actually pass it through, correct?
No, that was just the attempt to actually or see it. Basically using the time entropy effect to see what my actions would actually do
Sure.
before I decide to take one.
Yeah. So you just wouldn't see anything.
Yeah, that would be a lot of nothing. So, well, if I didn't see anything, I'd just drop it and go, well, that won't work. Yeah, better safe than sorry when you're dealing with weirdness.
Truth to that. All right. Who do we have left? The good doctor has not yet done anything, correct?
The good doctor went back to the boat.
Oh, yes. No, he didn't see or say anything. So we have had all 4 of you kind of address it at least.
We'll go back to town and make sure that everybody knows that there's no fountain out here. Minimize disturbances. I will work to raise mist to help cloud their vision, that they become lost and elsewhere in this swamp.
Indeed, perhaps disappearing is better than simply barring entry.
There will still be some drawn by some unknown force. Perhaps it is their fate to wander here. But they will not be coming in force.
There are always those who will try. That we can. All we can hope to do is limit how many.
We
And then, as so as you guys are filtering out, I will need a perception primal urge, Jackson.
if Jackson's paying attention.
Sorry, I just got back. What's going on?
I need a perception primal urge from you.
Ready for this massive dice pool.
Who?
Yes. Because not taking Primal Urge is fun. I have a success.
You would notice that the gauntlet seems here.
I'll just take note of that. He's still not saying anything.
Right. And the guardian kind of
Go.
lays down against the stone again. So it's up against the edge of that altar.
What shall I call you?
He kind of looks at you a little bit caught off guard. And has to stop and think about it for a moment. He contemplates and kind of paces around a little bit of the loop there, and he stops and he looks back at you, kind of scratches his claw-like fingertips against one of the trees, and he says, "Once I was known as Willow Scar. That is as good a name as any, I imagine. So many names and so many tongues. What meaning do they have? That is a good one for now."
Very well then. Goodbye for now, Willow Scar.
And he's again when he lays against the rock and kind of stretches out, he just looks like a kind of a mound of moss covered rock, and then the skull leaning against it.
And she will start ushering the people back. Vote.
All right. she's gonna head back towards the boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
One's kind of just take her time walking back, taking up the rear.
And Jake is waiting at the boat again. And as you guys approach, he says, did you find any success?
There was nothing there. A
Definitely
rumor.
didn't find anything we were looking for.
Yeah.
I would wager it was a prank to get people to come out here.
Dangerous, Frank. Not something to mess around with.
And perhaps they hoped a certain somebody that they do not like would come out here investigating and end up dead to the crocodiles and alligators.
He kind of nods his head a little bit and he says, or perhaps like many other myths, there's but a kernel of truth in the rumor, and it's simply buried under layers of misinformation. Perhaps here is not the place, but that does not mean such a place does not exist.
I'm gonna do a perception empathy on this dude, see how he feels about this whole situation.
Right?
I got 2 successes.
Okay. Two successes would you notice she seems a bit disappointed. You know, he bought into the rumor, he believed in it, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Does he have
Okey-doke.
supernatural glow about him?
He does.
Oh.
Jackson's just gonna kind of take note of his disappointment, and he's just gonna to the group, see how they're all acting.
Bonte's gonna take a seat and pull out a notepad and start sketching.
Evelyn's kind of she's gonna look around for any theaters or anything, but she also is taking another look at the and such, trying to see if there's any cool plants or herbs or something out here that she doesn't have that she might be able to potentially use for something later.
Right.
Jackson's just he's gonna go help Avalon, and while he's helping her look for stuff, like look through like plants, so he's just gonna make small talk with her. And he's also, yes, very heavily flirting with her. Because,
kind of like
sorry.
she's just kind of like looking at him like, okay.
Because the werewolf unknowingly flirting with the vampire is hilarious to me.
Does he even know she's a vampire?
Oh, he ain't got that magical stuff.
Interesting. Anything to know that he's a werewolf either. So she'll just kind of roll with it.
Okay. Yeah. Gestures to the boat, and he says, "Well, I suppose it matters not. Even a false rumor investigated and found to be false still puts us closer to the truth."
I'm on. Closer to a truth, at least. What that truth will be in the end, we do not know.
Alright, he will, and once you guys are all safely loaded and stuff, he will bring you guys back to the city via the boat. Is there anything you guys wanted to do specific in the city portion here? Or
I'm good.
leave that there for the night.
Jackson will give Flynn his number. We'll give Avalon
She'll
his
give
number.
him a. She'll give him a card, and it says "Over the Garden Gate, Apothecary."
Okay, he'll take it and look down, read it, and say, "Oh, I'll make sure I stop by," and wink at it as he heads off.
All right. And she'll give her card as well, just in case.
I missed who you said you were giving it to.
She's gonna give the rest of you one of her business cards as well, just in case. So everyone.
Ah, Bunty will take it with a smile.
See
Yeah,
your
I'll take-
evening.
I'll take it with a thank you.
When all said is done, she is going to part ways with everybody as well. Except for when she parts ways, she's gonna like walk along the for a while too. She doesn't go directly back to the road or anything.
Okay.
Bunty's just gonna call for a ride and head back to her home, haven, sanctum, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Her place.
Alrighty. think that's everybody then. So we will wrap it up there. There's been another Shadows of New Orleans plot scene. Thank you, players, for playing, viewers for viewing, and we look forward to seeing you on another night.